We have seen already basic concepts, semiconductor RAMs, where we have designed complicated and simple memory systems. And we have seen the difference between RAM and ROM and the types of ROM. And we have seen a hierarchy where the memory available in computer, we have shown a hierarchy with respect to speed, size, and the cost. Now, in this video, we'll see cache memories. In this video, we'll discuss most of the definitions with respect to cache memories. First, we'll see what is the need of cache memories. Processor, we know that it is too faster compared to main memory. As a result, the processor has to spend more time in waiting rather than executing if it is waiting for an instruction or data from the main memory. So this will be a obstacle in the with respect to processor to achieve a good performance. So for that, what we have to do is we cannot demand the main memory to increase its speed beyond its limit, because every component in the computer has its own limit. It's nothing is infinite in computer. So what we can do to cope up with the speed of the main memory in the processor, we have to introduce a new memory buffer, which we call it as a cache. A cache memory is a architectural arrangement which makes the main memory appear faster to the processor than it really is. It means we are introducing a some component in between main memory and the processor, which is going to give the data to the processor faster than the main memory. This we have seen in the first video also, basic concepts. So what we are going to do here is, we had before secondary memory, and we thought that secondary memory and processor is going to communicate directly. No, because secondary memory is too slow, so we cannot wait for long. We cannot make the processor to wait for long to compute. So we bought a intermediate memory called RAM, and later it is realized that even RAM cannot cope up with the speed of CPU. So they have bought with the concept of cache memory. These concepts we have seen in the basic concepts. Now what we are going to do here is, see, in the hard disk we are having the data. Actually, we are going to divide the hard disk into tracks and sectors. If you are going to learn more about hard disk, which you will be studying in the subject operating system, more about secondary memory and how the secondary memory virtual table and how virtual memory is going to work, and there is something called TLB. All these things you will be studying in the operating system. In this, we will be concentrating only between the CPU and the RAM, where we'll get cache. But still, we should know how the data is stored in the hard disk. We call it logically as pages. The pages will be loaded to the RAM. In RAM, we are going to call the same pages as blocks. And when it comes to cache, we call it as a lines, word lines. But the same term block is also used in the cache. But when we take pages from hard disk to RAM, we call it, the process is called as a paging, and we have something called page table and all over here, and this we will not discuss. But from RAM to cache, we are going to get the blocks, but with the help of mapping functions. There are 3 mapping functions, we'll see in the next slides. So the blocks which resides in the main memory will be brought into the cache with the help of mapping function. But cache is too small, main memory is larger than cache. But if I'm having some thousands of blocks in the RAM, where cache can accommodate only some 10 blocks, so it has to decide which block should be replaced here, which block should be stored over here. Of course, the highly used and recently used will be there in the cache. But what if all the 10 blocks are filled, and now I need a one block which is residing in the main memory to cache, from RAM to cache if I want. So who is going to decide which block to be replaced? So that is done by the help of replacement algorithm. So The replacement algorithm is going to suggest or going to decide which block on the cache line should be replaced with a new request from the RAM. Even same happens with the page hard disk to RAM also. Which block on the RAM should be replaced with the respective pages from the hard disk is also decided by the replacement algorithm. The replacement algorithm is going to decide which has to be replaced, and the mapping function is going to replace them. Now we will see the cache memory is based on the property of computer program known as locality of reference. Locality of reference is nothing but in this we are again having two types. We'll discuss in the next slide. Before that, we'll see the definition of mapping function. At any given time, only some blocks in the main memory are held in the cache, of course, because cache is smaller than main memory. Which block in the main memory are in the cache, and it is determined by the mapping function. Similarly, when a cache is full and a block of word needs to be transferred from a main memory to cache, some block of words in the cache must be replaced. Of course, when it is filled, we cannot accommodate the new blocks. What we have to do is we have to make a free space for it. So that is decided. Which block has to be replaced? That is decided by the replacement algorithm. Let's come back to locality of reference. Analysis of a program indicates many instructions are in the localized area of a program and are executed repeatedly during some period of time, while the others are accessing the relatively less frequently. Means if you are going to take up any program, it's going to have many parts in it, but which is highly used will be there in the very close to the processor, and it might be having 100 components, so those components will not be loaded to the cache or main memory. So which is highly required, only those components will be loaded. That is what is the locality of references. These instructions may be the one in the loop, nested loop, or few procedure calling each other repeatedly. So this is called the locality of reference. In this we have two types. One is temporal locality of reference. The other one is spatial locality of reference. The temporal locality of reference says recently executed instructions is likely to be executed again very soon. This is how we see, like just before I have used this, maybe I may use it again. Similarly, temporal locality is going to say that recently executed instructions will be used again. But spatial locality reference is somewhat advanced. Here we need again a software support. Instructions with addresses proximity close to recently instructions are likely to be executed soon. It means, so when we are having instructions, for example, if I take a array is the best example I can take. So if I'm going to start with array index 0 to n, if I am there in the position some I, so the proximity is I plus 1, I plus 2, I plus 3 can be used immediately. That is what is going to be said by the spatial locality. But temporal locality is previously I minus 1, I minus 2, I minus 3. These can be used. That is what is temporal locality is going to tell. But spatial locality is going to predict these can be used. The future, these can be the demand. We have seen that cache. So when a processor requests for a block or a data, and if it is available in the cache, then it is called as a cache hit. So when it comes to data, whenever a processor is requesting, if it is available on the cache, we call it as a cache hit. If it is not available on the cache and it has to be fetched from the main memory to cache, then it is called as a cache miss. And similarly, if it is available in the RAM and if it is not available in the RAM, that is also cases are there. If it is available in the RAM, again we will call it as a RAM hit. If it is not available in the main memory, if it has to be loaded from the secondary memory to main memory, we call it as a page fault, because we have to load a page over there. But we will not be discussing the communication between RAM and secondary memory. Existence of cache is transparent to the processor. The processor issues a read and write request in the same manner as it was doing with the secondary memory, as it was doing with the main memory. So its job is to just request, and if the data is requested for read or write operation, if it is available, then it is called as a hit. What happens with the read operation hit? The data is obtained from the cache. So I want processor want the operands, and if it is available for computing the task, for example, if I take a sum of two number, a and b are the values I want. If it is available in the cache, then it is a hit, and it's going to take those values and it will perform the addition. Next, what about write hit? When it is a write hit, the cache has a replica of the content of the main memory. I'll write a statement of just sum of two number, a is equal to a plus b. Yeah. Right now, what I have done is, this is the task I want to do. A and b are available in the cache, which is initially it's a read operation, so it's a hit, and the processor took those two operands and it has performed the operation of addition. Now the next operation is write, because the sum of these two numbers should be stored in the another variable or on the same variable a. So now it has to perform the write hit. Already a was there in the cache, so of course it's a hit, but cache has a replica, yes, in the of the content a in the memory, but now it has to update this. The content of the cache and the main memory may be updated simultaneously. Whenever I update the a value, for example, if it is 10, if it is 20, the answer is 30. Whenever I update 30 in the cache, immediately it will be updated. Immediately it will be updated in the RAM. That is done with the help of write through protocol. So whenever I'm updating cache, even I'm updating the main memory. That is done through the help of write through protocol. Again, it's a rule. Protocol is nothing but a set of rules, which can be a simple algorithm. Or else update the content of the cache and mark it as updated by setting a bit value known as a dirty bit or modified bit. And the content of the main memory are updated when this block is replaced. This is called as write back or copy back protocol. So the another solution for this is, let me update the value of the a, that is 30, in the cache. Later what I will do is, I will update the value of a to the main memory later part when I am interested to replace it. Until that I will not update it, because I may update that value 100 times. I need not to update 100 times in the main memory. So that when I am going to update it on the main memory, so when I am going to remove that block from the cache, how I will remember whether it's modified or not, whether the original value of the a is modified or not. You can notice b I am not modifying. B is a constant which was used for just for addition, and it resides as it is. But what about a? A is updated. A was 10, a is updated to 30 now. Now I need one more indication through which somehow I can recognize, yes, this is updated. For that I am using an additional bit called dirty bit or modified bit. So the job of this is to tell the data is modified. Once I notice this is data is modified, while replacing the block from the cache, what I have to do is I have to update the RAM content so that the 30 is updated even in the RAM, and I will replace the new block to the respective modified block. This is how write hit is going to work. Read it is very simple, but write it is having some complicated structure. Either it has to go with the help of write through protocol, immediately update cache and RAM, or else keep the content for some time, and once you want to replace that respective content, then you modify it even in the RAM. Next we'll see cache miss. If requested data is not present in the cache, then it is called as a cache miss. Processor is requesting for some values. If it is not available, then it is called as a cache miss. It can be same for read and write, but we'll see how it is going to work with a read miss. A block of word containing a request word is transferred from the main memory whenever there is a read miss. As like before, the example a is equal to a plus b. A plus b, I want a and b values. So now a and b are not there in the cache memory. Now they are there in the main memory. Assumption is they are there in the main memory. Now it has to be transferred from main memory to cache memory. So what I have to do now? Now I have to bring them to cache memory. So that is because they are not there. That is why it is called as a miss. After the block is transferred from main memory to cache, the desired word is forwarded to the processor. Immediately it will place that in the cache and it will be transferred to the processor. The desired word may also be forwarded to the processor as soon as it is transferred without waiting for the entire block is to be transferred. This is called as load through or early restart. For example, here I'll take an example of arrays. I'm having a 100 element array. So I have to perform an operation of sum of n elements, that is 100 elements. Now I have bought into the cache only first 5 elements. Remaining are on the way. So what I can do? Do I need to wait for remaining 95 elements to be loaded to the cache? Then I will give those things to the processor so that it can compute. Or else immediately I got a 5 elements, let the processor will add 5 elements. Meanwhile, I'll get remaining 5, 10 or something. So I will give those things. Meanwhile, I'll get more. I will be giving those to the processor. This is decided by the protocols. One is load through or early restart, which is not going to wait for all the content to be loaded. What it is going to do is, this is going to give the data immediately when it is going to receive. It is just like when we are browsing with a slow internet, we'll be getting the pages slowly, but we'll be getting content. Again, the content will be updated. Again, the content will be updated, which is going to work with the concept of early restart. It will not wait until the complete web page, whatever I have requested, should be loaded from the DNS server to my machine. Then the browser will not display it. What it will do? Even it is going to throw some characters, so that character will be displayed. And after that, it's going to get more data. It's going to add up. So that is how the early restart is going to work. Next, we'll see write miss. By doing the early restart, it's going to improve the performance. The processor need not to wait for all the data. Yes, it has got some data. It is started the computing, and meanwhile, it's going to get the remaining data. It can complete the task. The second one is write miss. Processor want to write the answer. For example, sum of a two number a is equal to a plus b. But for some reason, that a which was there when it is read is not there in the cache. Now what it has to do? It has to find that a, right? So write through protocol is used over here. Then the content of the main memory are updated directly. So whenever it's going to update the cache, directly it's going to update the main memory. Why? Because it is not having a, it's going to ask for the a in the cache and it's going to update the a, then immediately it's going to update the RAM also. The if write back protocol is used, the block containing the address word is first brought into the cache. The desired word is overwritten with a new information. If it is going to use the write back protocol, first bring it, then write it on the cache. Then again, once you are going to replace that respective block, that time only you modify in the RAM. That is how the write back protocol is going to work, which is slower. But write through protocol is faster. It's going to update both cache and RAM in a given time. Next, we'll see something called cache coherence problem. As we have seen dirty bit and modified bit, we'll be having additional bit called valid bit. It's going to tell the data which is residing in the cache and the RAM which is valid. For example, if I'm having a data in the hard disk which is updated by other processes, but from the other end. So now what happens? If I'm having a old data in the RAM and cache, that is not a valid. And the data is updated in the RAM, which is the valid, and if the data which is updated in the cache, which is not valid, that is going to be recognized with the help of valid bit. If the block containing a valid data, then it is set to 1, the bit is set to 1, otherwise it is set to 0. Initially, the valid bit is set to 0, because when we power on, we don't have any data, these valid bits are set to 0. And when a block is loaded to the cache for the first time, of course it is a valid data, it is not updated by any of the processes. So what we are going to do is, we are going to mark the valid bit as 1. And data transfer between main memory and disk occurs directly bypassing the cache, because we are having cache in between the RAM and processor. We don't have a cache between RAM and secondary memory. So of course they are going to bypass. So if the data is updated in the secondary memory, that is going to be loaded. That is going to be loaded to the RAM by bypassing the cache, where RAM is having a valid data, because data is updated in the secondary memory, which is updated in the RAM, but cache is having a old data. This situation, how we are going to handle? When the data on the disk changes, the main memory block is also updated, because they are bypassing the cache. They are nowhere concerned about a cache, because cache is not there in between the RAM and secondary memory. Cache is placed between the RAM and processor. However, if the data is also resides in the cache, then the valid bit is set to 0. But we are having a valid data in the main memory, we are having a invalid data in the cache memory. What happens if the data is in the disk and main memory changes and the write back protocol is being used? We are using write back protocol. We are not using write through protocol. Write back means what? It's going to update once we are replacing. Then we are going to get the old data. In this case, the data in the cache may also have changed and is indicated by a dirty bit. So it is going to tell data is modified, but it is not modified. So previous data is modified in the RAM, but whatever I'm having in the cache is not modified. The copy of the data in the cache and the main memory are different. Yes, this situation is called as a cache coherence problem. Cache coherence is very simple. We are having a data in the cache, we are having a data in the RAM. So both are not having a same copy. The RAM is having a updated version, cache is having a not updated version. This situation is called as a cache coherence problem. The one option for this is force the write back before the main memory updated from the disk. What we are going to do is, whenever we are updating the RAM, we have to have a technology, we have to have a code, that is write back protocol. It has to update even the cache memory if that respective block is there in the cache. If we are going to do that, we can avoid the cache coherence problem. Next we'll see mapping function. I told the decision of like how to get the replace the data from the from the main memory to cache is done by mapping function. So there are three mapping functions. One is direct mapping, simple one. Associative mapping. Direct mapping is having disadvantage of not using the cache memory fully, and that is overcome by the associative mapping. But direct mapping is simple to build and it is less costly compared to associative mapping. Associative mapping is highly flexible and it will well utilize all the blocks, all the word lines of the cache. But the disadvantage of associative mapping is it is too costly and it demands high hardware. So for that, to avoid again direct and associative, both are having its own advantage and its own disadvantage. So what they have done is they came up with a hybrid mapping technique, which we call it as a set associative, which is a combination of direct mapping and associative mapping. So which block has to be replaced on the respective cache is decided by the replacement algorithm. The replacement algorithm already have defined. So direct mapping, as I said, it does not require replacement algorithm because direct mapping works with the principle of modulus. So the number of word lines in the cache is if I take a 10 and I'm getting some word number, so I'm going to take a modulus word number modulus the number of cache blocks in the cache. So it's going to give some number that based on that number it's going to replace it. There is no other strategy over it. Just goes with the modulus operation. But that's why it is not flexible. But in associative mapping and set associative mapping, it's going to provide the flexibility of deciding where to place how to utilize the empty spaces. This can be done with the help of replacement algorithm. So which has to be which block in the cache memory has to be replaced and why it has to be replaced. This is the decision which is taken by the replacement algorithm. The simple and well-known algorithm is least recently used replacement algorithm. The least recently used replacement algorithm works with the concept of temporal locality. We have seen the temporal locality and spatial locality. The LRU works with the concept of temporal locality. It's going to think that these are all the instructions which are recently used, which will be used again. That's it. Least recently used means which is not used from long time, that will be removed. That is how the LRU is going to work. It's not going to predict which is going to be used in the future. It's going to think that the previous instructions are used just before, like it might be used again. But some blocks which have not used for a long time, that can be removed. This is the decision which is going to be taken by the LRU. And on this mapping technique, with a combination of this replacement algorithm, will be discussed in detail with the help of individual example, and the performance will be discussed in the next video. This is the textbook I have used to explain these topics. Thank you.